Hello, hello, hello. President Biden has COVID-19, you guys. So, what's the latest in the COVID-19 news? Since the subvariant was first detected at the end of April, experts say it's been a slow rise. This was just reported 50 minutes ago. There's been it says the BA.5 subvariant of Omicron dominates the summer wave of COVID-19 in the USA, making up nearly 80% of new cases, according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention nowcast model. And so we know that President Biden has tested positive. It says in the most recent week ending Wednesday, 29 states reported more cases than the week before. So we're over 50%. We are over 50% now. Oh, Lord have mercy. I do this because I work at home. Some people think that all I do is sleep all day, which I don't know how I meet my metrics that way. But it has been said as a joke to me. And I mentioned it as a joke today. And it was just like, yeah, the less I know, the better or whatever. And I'm just like, it's confirmation bias. This person thinks that I actually sleep all day instead of working. They actually think that. And it's not. I knew that when they were saying it, that it wasn't a joke. Right? And it stems from, I think, you can let me know. I think that it comes from envy. I think that that's what's at the crux of it. Anyway, with our president being ill, then the vice president steps in, right? And if she becomes ill, then it's Pelosi, right? Right. So this is what I do all day. I don't really talk like it's a real live. This is my documentation. In case anybody says that takes that seriously, that I just sleep all day instead of working, I have some documentation to show. So that I'm working. So, but anyway, I just wanted to wish our president well. What I know about Uncle Joe. I know that Uncle Joe comes from a political family. And I think his dad was also in politics. And he's been around for a long, long, long time. No matter who the president has been, Uncle Joe has always been in some role in politics. That's what I know about him. In a lot of ways, he reminded me of Mitt Romney. But the thing about Mitt Romney is Mitt Romney had a lot more scandals, per se. I will say that. A lot more scandals. So Uncle Joe, a lot of people make fun of him. Before he became president, he was always cussing. This is effing huge when the CARE Act came through, right? They always made fun of him. And it's always been people who do not have the pedigree that he has. You know what I mean? Coming from generations, this being a second generation politician. And the first funny thing that I remember about our president is when his son Bo died, and then the other son married Bo's wife, the widow. I was like, now, come on now, what is this? I thought that was strange. Um, I thought that was really strange that happened. But I don't know. I don't know if that is typical from the environment that he grew up in. He always says it's a blue collar type of a place. Um, I don't know. I don't know. But one thing for sure, whatever Uncle Joe has done, I hope that he has documented everything for his presidential library and memoirs and things like that. That would be good. Always document, because there are so many detractors in the world, people who want to throw salt on you, who want to, even if, which yourself, if you don't have to be president for people to speak negativity over your name and your work ethic and try to discredit your legacy, what it is that you do with your life every day. And I really don't know why people do that, and who cares? Who cares why? Just know that they do, and find out a way that you can protect yourself from those type of people, because they exist in the world and they have a purpose. And the purpose is to showcase your ability to document what you do and how you do it, and so that you could really shine bright. And it makes them look bad, which I think is what they're doing. It's like self-sabotaging, right? If they're doing it to a person who is doing the wrong thing, then it's okay, right? Then it's fine. They should be doing that. But when they're doing it um, against someone who is not like that, then that's a problem. That's a problem. Some people don't like for, I'm getting a message. Some people don't like That's why I was checking. I really want to go overseas. I need letters of recommendation for my people. I do. Let me see if they're saying anything about Joe. What? I know this is supposed to be about Joe, but you know what? This is crazy right here. He said he became addicted to prostitutes. How can you become addicted?
Now that's proof that working together in Jesus' name leads to lasting change. Learn more at
worldvision.org/hope for I'm gonna stay focused. Ben Affleck. Poor him. Well, let's talk about it again. Inside America's Black upper class. I want to see it now. What you talking about?
In the United States, there are more and more African American millionaires. Their number has doubled over the past 25 years. Today, 1 in 50 Black families are millionaires, part of a new Black upper class in the country.
$5,000. I mean, we built the company to be a multi-million-dollar business.
Today, Black people make up the second largest group of millionaires in the U.S., behind white Americans. But the country carries a long history of slavery, segregation, and discrimination. For the general public, the most well-known wealthy African Americans are athletes, politicians, and entertainers.
You ain't African American queen.
That's a fact. But far away from Los Angeles and its Hollywood stars, there's a different Black elite, and it's on the rise. An upper class that makes up 3% of the African American population. This may not seem like much, but it's nearly 1.5 million people.
City brings Black excellence, period.
So how is this new Black bourgeoisie faring? What's the secret to their success? Some entrepreneurs are establishing businesses to support Black communities.
To turn the table and say, no longer will we buy white, but it's time for us to buy Black.
Others make a conscious effort to stay within the Black community in all areas of life.
I prefer her to date a Black person.
I understand that. I'm the only Black person on my team, honey.
Limited to athletics and popular music. It's also at home in the world of business and the professional elite. Don Peebles is a Black entrepreneur who made his way to the top.
I just finished with Irving, but he has assured me that he'll have it finished this weekend.
Peebles is a property developer and one of the richest African Americans in the United States. His estimated net worth is $700 million. He's a staunch believer in capitalism as the path to success.
I see capitalism first. I see the massive amount of development and the massive amount of people working and doing business. It reminds you of how America was built based upon capitalism.
These
And
are
I see great opportunity.
HBCU black people.
Originally from Washington, D.C., and the son of a civil
And-
servant and a real estate broker, he became a real estate agent at 22. He bought his first building soon after and was a millionaire by the time he turned 30.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up during a time of transition in America, during the civil rights movement in the United States. And so I got a very good sense that anything was possible. What I've accomplished in terms of business has been far greater than what my expectations were. Okay? All right. Talk to you later.
Is.
Peoples has constructed buildings and even entire neighborhoods all over the country. He's been nicknamed the Black Donald Trump. He's part of the elite. His own apartment is a testament to his wealth.
Ty?
At more than 600 square meters, it's decorated with numerous works of art. It also features 3 bedrooms, a huge dressing room for his wife, and a 360-degree view of Manhattan. The apartment itself is valued at an estimated $35 million.
Let's see if this is Ty.
Don Peebles has joined the ranks of America's most powerful entrepreneurs,
Detective Indonesian.
but he keeps his priorities in check. No
Oh,
matter how
hi,
busy
you're
his
so
schedule, he still makes
beautiful.
time for his weekly lunch date with his wife.
Okay, so we're going to 138
I
Lafayette.
understand that.
They met when he was 27 years old, not long after he made his first $1 million.
What the hell? I know what it sounds like, but that's not it.
Washington.
I'm a
through an
gecko.
area and saw her jaywalking the street, and so I introduced myself. And the next day,
Okay,
I invited her
go,
to New
go,
York,
go,
and
go.
she came with me, and then the rest was history.
Did you ever feel any scrutiny to
It don't make
marry a
no
white
sense.
No, I mean, I'm married who I love. I mean, again, I'm multicultural and multiracial, so I think people should
Language.
date
Top.
and marry who they love, regardless of race, gender, etc.
A New York fairy tale and a relationship that's lasted 3 decades. Today, they've chosen to meet in an upscale French restaurant. Katrina is a former model from America's white upper class. Though she's a businesswoman, she's completely devoted to her husband and their 2 children.
30 years ago, I met my husband and I explained his character and his demeanor to my mother. She said, if you marry a fisherman, don't be surprised if he goes fishing. And I've kept that with me all my life because he's a consummate business person. He's an entrepreneur. So there's no on and off button.
An understanding wife, perfectly suited to the real estate magnate.
Mhm.
Nice way
It's
to spend the
incentive-
afternoon. I kind of geared into it. Plus,
Incentivization.
also active in our business, and so we've got a couple of business things to work on. Give us a chance to catch up personally a little bit, but also business-wise.
Let's see what else he
Even as
say.
always.
Yes.
Don Peebles works almost every day of the year. That's the price he pays for being one of the wealthiest men in the country.
Comments.
First impressions mean a lot, like when you hire someone new. The Bamboo HR Definitive Guide to Onboarding shows you how to get it right. Because when onboarding is effective, you get confident, engaged employees who feel connected to the company. So, download the free Definitive Guide to Onboarding and learn how to go about culture and benefits training, how to handle team intros, and more. Oh, okay. Did I mention the onboarding guide is free? I think I did. Anyway, click on the link to get your copy of the Definitive Guide to Onboarding today. I'm just gonna go.
This is stupid.
What is a home warranty? It's a 1-year service plan that helps cover costs when parts of your home systems and appliances break down due to normal wear. Home warranties protect what home insurance doesn't, so that everything in your house is protected, including your budget. It covers things like your AC, fridge, water heater, and plumbing. Things you may not.
Go
But
black
Peoples and his wife
people.
also know how to relax. They're on their way to the Hamptons, a beach resort popular with New York City's elite. Traveling in style in their Maserati, the couple arrives at their $12 million mansion.
Oh, hell no. This ain't the kind of money I'm used to, honey. It's old money. They don't be in no Maserati, baby. That is very
Let's go get some
nouveau riche and not classy at all.
Wherever they go, the couple has a full-time staff to assist them.
Okay.
But despite his financial successes, Don Peoples has always been aware of his race.
Americans don't associate African Americans with wealth because that's a very simplistic answer. So if they see an athlete or someone who's an entertainer, they're comfortable with them being wealthy. I think it's more unusual to see wealth in the business world be diverse. Nothing about me fits the stereotype of what an average American expects.
But they're lazy. And so it'd be better to say, oh, well, she's the blonde Barbie doll. Let's put her in this box. You know, he's an African-American entertainer. We understand that. There have been others. So we'll put him in that box.
I don't live like the typical entertainer. I don't live like a rapper. I don't live like a athlete.
Oh, you're very good at some sports.
But I think I live in a more elegant, more established way, and it just doesn't fit.
It's got old money.
Don Peoples is part of America's top 1%. Though he tries not to flaunt his wealth, he does have one guilty pleasure: cars.
I didn't get a Ferrari until I was, in my 30s, because I felt that the car portrayed an image of a less serious person. And unfortunately, so being young, and of course being a minority, in addition to that, made me much more conscious about how people would judge me. Got to a certain point, I really wanted comfort, so I started buying Aston Martins. I was always kind of like uncomfortable, say, with getting a Rolls Royce, which was always the most comfortable of all the cars. So
I'm going to say there's
I
no
met the president of
EDSA.
Rolls Royce at a dinner. He let me
Independent
borrow a
press.
Phantom. So ultimately, I bought a Phantom.
But you just LOL at the cute ones on YouTube, but don't think of the ones suffering.
Get in kind of gracefully, and especially if someone's wearing a gown or something like that.
Oh, Lord Jesus.
And then
I
you're
don't
in,
know.
and then you just push a button here. I can lower the spirit of ecstasy,
What the hell is this?
and then I can raise it.
Community strikes.
This is my little guilty pleasure, if you will.
It's an expensive hobby.
It's about
Together, the price of
COVID.
these cars totals almost $1 million. The sum is inconsequential for Don Peoples, whose fortune continues to grow behind closed doors. Over the past 25 years, the number of black millionaires like Don Peoples has doubled. Among them, some have achieved an even more impressive feat. They've amassed their fortunes in conservative states, like Texas.
That's right. They got money in Houston,
Psyche
baby.
Terry is the founder of a cosmetics brand.
Money.
She's currently $1
Good morning, everyone. Hey, good morning.
A millionaire herself, she's become a symbol of the new Black American dream.
Yay! Oh my God, that's so pretty.
They
Like,
pick and
seriously,
choose,
This is my
baby.
new logo.
Though her brand is primarily geared towards black women, Psyche Terry's staff includes a diverse group of employees.
We employ white people, black people, Latina people, Asian people. We'll take anyone that has a heart that beats at the same drum as our heart.
More than a decade ago, with just $40 in her pocket,
I don't
Terry
care about
decided
no
to establish herself in
Boston.
the world of cosmetics,
Are
an
you
industry that
nuts?
generates over $1 billion each year
I
in the
ain't thinking
United
about
States.
Boston.
I couldn't find natural, healthy products on the market. So being a black woman with black skin, my skin is dry. My hair is dry. I come out dry. I wake up dry. I go to bed dry. So I have to always put things on me. It's like going out in the rain. You need a raincoat. It's just the fact of being a black woman in my skin. So I decided to use things that were in my own kitchen.
Her Her idea took off. Her products are now sold nationwide.
Urban
Her husband,
hydration.
Coletha, a former
She just got
financial
another
investor, also
customer.
helped her company get on its feet. This morning, the couple is meeting with their investors. Former professional baseball player Torrey Hunter and his wife Katrina have invested $250,000 in the Terry's business. It's a
We
profitable
just
investment.
got another
The
one.
African American community spends nearly 9 times more on hair and beauty products than any other group.
That profit is up as well.
Who is this? Hawaiian Tropic. You just lost one.
Yeah, good. We doing good. Our products are selling, and our goal is to be the #1 natural care for dry skin and dry hair, and we are getting up there on the charts.
You're trying to create a trend to dominate this market, and that's what all of us are trying to do. So what you're doing, you're on the right track.
Oh yeah.
The product that I invested in, I actually invested in the people. It's a great investment. You know, what's tripped out is that I've learned a lot about skincare. Now I take care of my body. You know, I think I'm metro sexy now. You know. So,
That's old.
Yeah, I'm metro sexy. You know.
Not long ago, the brand landed on the highly coveted list of America's 5,000 fastest growing companies. Only 100 black-owned businesses made the cut.
So we're gonna toast.
Yay!
2% of women-owned businesses actually reach $1 million a year in revenue. So for us to, first off, be a Dallas company, be a Frisco company, be a woman-owned company, be a minority-owned company, we've got so many different things that could tell us no. We're just so proud of, and of course, having that opportunity to kind of meet those odds.
By their late 30s, the couple had achieved a level of success that exceeded their dreams.
Confidence can take you to new places.
May 5th.
Where road
They also demand excellence at home. They live in a quiet, wealthy residential area. The couple and their 3 children have come up with their own anthem, a kind of Christian battle cry.
Are you ready? Let's do it.
I am a child of God.
I am a child of God.
I am a warrior.
I am a warrior.
I am a Terry.
I am a Terry.
I never give up.
I never give up.
I am.
Hey!
Faith that hard work will always lead to success. To motivate their children to do their chores, Psyche Terry and her husband hold an award ceremony.
Who's gonna get it? This award is going to someone who may have a smaller appetite.
Yeah.
They will eat as much as they possibly can. This award is going to go to none other than Faithy Terry. Yay! Good job, everybody. Working hard and earning is the behavior that we like to show in the house, because we know in the world in America that when you work hard, usually you get a payoff for it. So we would like to instill here at home that working hard equals winning something.
The couple started from nothing without a penny to their name. Today, they're a symbol of the American dream, something that they hope to pass on to their children.
You recognize yourself in the title Black Excellence.
Yes, I think Black excellence is the behavior of embodying what our ancestors, our Black African ancestors, hoped for.
Because black people in the United States were limited and held down for almost 400 years, that's why black excellence is so significant. I'm glad you know it's a competitive world out there. There's always somebody else who wants to have the job they want or start the business they want and try them to compete well so they can give back and take care of their families like we take care of them.
As millionaires, Psyche Terry and her husband are regularly invited to VIP events. Tonight, in stiletto heels, a sequin dress, and diamond earrings, and a three-piece suit for him, they trade their family life for a glamorous evening.
I love it.
The successful couple has even been welcomed into Dallas's white high society. Tonight, they've been invited to one of the city's most elegant hotels for a charity event. Just 50 years ago, during the era of Jim Crow segregation, they wouldn't have even been allowed to set foot in the building. Times have changed. Psyche and Jehovah Terry are greeted like royalty and seem to have mastered the art of schmoozing on the red carpet.
1, 2, and 3. This is Dallas's finest. And the Terry.
But the crowd is still disproportionately white.
Where are the very successful African Americans? Well, they're not here. There's some here. And we've been intentional to speak to the ones that are here. We are 1%. We're in the 1% of the 1%, yes. We recognize that. We know it.
Psyche Terry has managed to make her way into the black upper class. She's proud of having achieved this privileged status.
I would have never imagined in a million years that every weekend I'm at a gala, or every weekend I'm on a red carpet, or that I'm connecting with other people that I once looked up to, or that now people are looking up to me, or everywhere I look, people call me beautiful. I've worked darn hard for this, and I love my new reality.
Psyche Terry and her husband expect to double their turnover within the next 5 years. While Black Americans like the Terrys attempt to establish themselves in industries where they're still the minority, others are speaking with their wallets. Recently, a new phenomenon has emerged that's shaking up the American economy. More and more Black Americans believe the country needs to undergo radical economic change. That includes a form of communitarianism, making sure their dollars and purchasing power stay in their own community. Also known as the Buy Black movement, it's been gaining momentum ever since the election of Donald Trump. We head to the Midwest to visit Chicago, where this kind of black capitalism is very popular. Chicago is where Kanye West grew up and Barack Obama came of age. The city has one of the largest black populations in the U.S. This is where Maggie Anderson lives, a prominent advocate of the Buy Black movement. Accompanied by her 2 teenage daughters, she's visiting a spa around 30 miles away from her home. She goes there not because it's the fanciest or most beautiful, but because it's owned by a Black American family.
Everything looks great as always. Black women get their nails done, and 90% of it, I'm sure, at least go to mostly Asian American owned spas. And I promise you that that 90% would prefer to go to a Black owned nail salon, but they just don't have the choice.
Maggie Anderson is very committed to the cause and talks about it candidly in a way that some might find surprising.
So, this is what you have to work with. If Jasmine were to look at me right now, I'd say, Jasmine, come on, girl, watch it. I just feel that connection with her, and I can't say it's anyone's fault, but I don't feel that connection when I go to an Asian American owned salon. So there have been problems in terms of the comfort level, the service, and the quality. So it's wonderful to be able to go to a place where you feel like you're cared about.
Definitely care about you.
In the room next door, her daughters, Kara and Corey, are eager to take up their mother's cause.
I think it's important to support Black-owned businesses because there's not many out there that are as successful and known as a lot of other businesses.
I think it's really cool. We try to spread it a lot and tell our friends and stuff.
To Together, Maggie Anderson and her husband earn over $300,000 a year.
Did I tell you I'm going to get the 995 plan?
The 995 plan, what's that?
It's the Colonial Penn plan you see on TV for $9.95 a month.
You mean life insurance?
Yes, I'm going to be one of the hundreds of thousands who already have this coverage.
Sounds pretty popular.
It's their #1 plan.
Well, gosh, you make me feel like I'm missing out on something.
It might be. Are you ready to learn more about the 995 plan?
This is a renewed smartphone sold on back market by expert refurbishers. Wait, give me a sec and you'll rethink refurbished. Like all electronics on back market, this phone's been carefully tested and works as good as new for prices up to 70% less than new. It also comes with a 1-year warranty and 30 days to change your mind. Oops, gotta get that. 6 million people have bought their devices on back market. What are you waiting for?
They live in Oak Park, a suburb on the western outskirts of the city. It's a place that prides itself on its diversity, and it's about 20% black.
While we do want a high quality life, that's important. We want to find a place where there are a decent amount of black people. It's very important. You also want to not be the only black person in the restaurant or in the store. You basically have no choice, and that's Oak Park.
Maggie Anderson has made the Buy Black movement her life's mission. 55% of the family's income is injected directly into the black economy. And it starts at home, in her kitchen.
I used to do pastry. I used to do, this is a black-owned company that I love. They make champagne jam.
And it doesn't stop at jam. There are spices, honey, and even canned vegetables.
If I had my way, everything here would be filled with black-owned products.
They may be America's second largest racial demographic, but only 7% of U.S. businesses are black-owned. That's why Anderson is doing all she can. She buys alcohol, beauty products, and clothes from black-owned businesses. She traded a wardrobe full of Italian designers for outfits created by black designers.
Look at these. Everyone likes these shoes. Look at that heel. It looks sexy with black-owned products. So it's really nice if I'm in a club or something like that, when people say, oh, those are great shoes, and say, yes, and they're black-owned. So it's always nice to be able to say that.
A house full of black-made products is just the start. Even when it comes to healthcare, she makes an effort to find doctors who are black.
Hi, Dr. Cameron. We need to make an appointment for the girls. So can you please have someone call me back so I can schedule something for them? Thank you.
She's willing to invest time and energy into her beliefs. And that includes doing online research to find doctors who are black.
I'll go to my insurance company website and they have a link, find a doctor. And I just look at the names. And if the names sound like they may be black, I'll kind of put them in a list and then I'll Google them to look at their faces. And then, oh, no. I know that's very rudimentary, but that's one way that I look for black. I couldn't find any that way.
It's all in the name of supporting her community.
Doctor, that's a major expense and it's a big, so those big things we try to make sure that we do black. If I have the choice and I have the time, even if it's a pretty important thing, I will wait.
Maggie Anderson has become a real champion of the Buy Black movement. She's even written a book inviting all African Americans to follow her example. It's an approach that angers some white Americans. Anderson rejects the claim that the Buy Black movement is racist.
I'm not thinking that I hate white people or that white people have done this to me. I'm thinking what I need to do for black people. I really don't care about what white people say or don't say about their businesses. When people say, buy American, no one says, well, that means that you hate Mexico. That means that you hate China. That means that you hate Canada. No, it just means that we love America. And I say buy black, not because I hate people who are not black. It's just that black businesses are under supported. And if I'm not going to support them, no one else will.
The activist has become a kind of online detective, exposing businesses that are white-owned but sell products marketed to the black community.
This is one of the most historic, largest black hair products ever.
This brand proudly boasts its family history, particularly its African-American origins, but the website suggests otherwise.
Is I had to go to terms of use. Who is going to go to terms of use? Here I am in terms of use. Thank you for visiting our site, which is owned and operated by L'Oreal USA. That tells me, thank you, Black woman, for giving me all your money and giving it to the L'Oreal family. I do believe that L'Oreal intentionally does not put their name on the company brand's website. If they were to know that the money that they spend on hair products, just like any other person, was going to the world's rich.
I think it's important to support Black-owned businesses because there's not many out there that are as successful and known as a lot of other businesses.
I think it's really cool. We try to spread it a lot and tell our friends and stuff.
Together, Maggie Anderson and her husband earn over $300,000 a year. They live in Oak Park, a suburb on the western outskirts of the city. It's a place that prides itself on its diversity, and it's about 20% Black.
While we do want a high quality of life, that's important, we want to find a place where there are a decent amount of Black people. It's very important. You also want to not be the only Black person in the restaurant or in the store. You basically have one choice, and that's Oak Park.
Maggie Anderson has made the Buy Black movement her life's mission. 55% of the family's income is injected directly into the Black economy. And it starts at home, in her kitchen.
I usually don't do pastry. I usually do, this is a Black-owned company that I love. They make champagne jam.
And it doesn't stop at jam. There are spices, honey, and even canned vegetables.
If I had my way, everything here would be filled with Black-owned products.
They may be America's second largest racial demographic, but only 7% of U.S. businesses are Black-owned. That's why Anderson is doing all she can. She buys alcohol, beauty products, and clothes from Black-owned businesses. She traded a wardrobe full of Italian designers for outfits created by Black designers.
Look at these. Everyone likes these shoes. Look at that heel. It looks sexy with Black-owned products. So it's really nice if I'm in a club or something like that, when people say, oh, those are great shoes. And I say, yes, and they're Black-owned. So it's always nice to be able to say that.
A house full of Black-made products is just the start. Even when it comes to healthcare, she makes an effort to find doctors who are Black.
Hi, Dr. Cameron. We need to make an appointment for the girls. So can you please have someone call me back so I can schedule something for them?
She's willing to invest time and energy into her beliefs. And that includes doing online research to find doctors who are Black.
This does not work in real life.
Insurance company website,
Okay.
and they have a link.
It's a great documentary, but it does not work in real life, honey. I have been to Black dentists. I had a one Black guy who was so good. He was a cobbler for my boots in Third Ward in Houston, right off of 288. He was great. But I wouldn't trust nobody else to do my boots in Houston, honey. A Black man. Black dentist.
If I have the choice and I have the time, even if it's a pretty
Research everybody.
I will wait.
Maggie Anderson has become a real champion of the Buy Black movement. She's even written a book inviting all African Americans to follow her example. It's an approach that angers some white Americans, Anderson rejects the claim that the Buy Black movement is racist.
I'm not thinking that I hate white people or that white people have done this to me. I'm thinking what I need to do for Black people. I really don't care about what white people say or don't say about their businesses. When people say, buy American, no one says, well, that means that you hate Mexico. That means that you hate China. That means that you hate Canada. No, it just means that we love America. And I say buy Black, not because I hate people who are not Black. It's just that Black businesses are under-supported. And if I'm not going to support them, no one else will.
The activist has become a kind of online detective, exposing businesses that are white-owned but sell products marketed to the Black community.
This is one of the most historic, largest Black hair products ever.
This brand proudly boasts its family history, particularly its African-American origins, but the website suggests otherwise.
Is I have to go to terms of use. Who is going to go to terms of use? Here I am in terms of use. Thank you for visiting our site, which is owned and operated by L'Oreal USA. That tells me, thank you, Black woman, for giving me all your money and giving it to the L'Oreal family. I do believe that L'Oreal intentionally does not put their name on the company brand's website. If they were to know that the money that they spend on hair products, just like any other person, was going to the world's richest woman, and that she was white and in France, and from what I can see, not doing anything at all for the Black community, would they still be buying these products? My job is to spread this truth.
I'm trying to find out what brand it is.
This is one of the most historic, largest Black hair products ever.
This brand
Dark and
proudly
lovely.
boasts its family history, particularly its African-American origins, but the website suggests otherwise.
Is I have to go to terms of use. Who is going to go to terms of use? Here I am in terms of use. Thank you for visiting our site, which is owned and operated by L'Oreal USA. That tells me, thank you, Black woman, for giving me all your money and giving it to the L'Oreal family. I do believe that L'Oreal intentionally does not put their name on the company brand's website. If they were to know that the money that they spend on hair products, just like any other person, was going to the world's richest woman, and that she was white and in France, and from what I can see, not doing anything at all for the Black community, would they still be buying these products? My job is to spread this truth.
Over the next few months, Maggie Anderson will attend dozens of conferences across the country where she will spread her message.
Yeah,
but how do
fatty.
these new activists scope out products created exclusively by Black people? We head to the southeast of the United States, to Atlanta. About half of the city's population is African American. Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthplace and Coca-Cola's headquarters are both located here. Atlanta has become the economic hub of the Black elite. Georgia's capital is second only to New York City in the number of Black-owned businesses. The city suburbs are also home to a company unlike any other, a company that's aiming to be a kind of Black-owned Amazon. By his late 20s, Sharif Abdul-Malik already had several projects to his name, including an online marketplace for Black-owned businesses.
What's going on?
Everything's good.
Everything straight? How did that puzzle piece do? The one right after that?
14,000 likes, 14,200.
So that means a lot of people viewed it. Click Insights? Oh yeah, so that's really good for a business.
Sharif Abdul-Malik, a young business graduate, was quick to spot the potential of the growing Buy Black movement. He founded WeBuyBlack.com in 2015. The website sells products from Black-owned businesses and sellers, everything from clothing to household goods. It took the Black community by storm, soon racking up more than 100,000 customers and nearly 1 million social media followers.
So for a very long time, hundreds of years, we've always supported and bought white. This could be rooted from a lot of African Americans believing that that the Caucasian was God. A lot of African Americans viewed white products and products sold from white people as superior products. So this was a statement and a reaction to say something different, to turn the table and say no longer will we buy white, but it's time for us to buy black.
In his 500 square meter warehouse, he stores products for several brands that are sold on his site. Among the flagship products, one sells particularly well: boxer shorts.
Everything good. Everything going, man.
Everything cool, man. We buy black. We got a new banner.
Okay, nice.
It's right there.
Oh yeah, I love that. No, 9 different styles here.
9 different styles. 3 in the pack. We got the Royale edition.
Okay.
Purple, burgundy, royal blue.
Nice.
And then we got one more product coming out. I did since leave that prototype.
Okay.
Champ slides.
Nice.
I've been wearing for 2 weeks straight.
Nice. They holding up well.
Holding up well.
Nice.
But we jump started off WeBuyBlack.com. Without WeBuyBlack.com, I don't know where we're standing at right now. Yeah. So from the launch, there was a press release. It was through We Buy Black, and that's what got us the momentum that we needed. So I can say we're doing much better thanks to We Buy Black. Very essential.
Thanks to the website, this entrepreneur is guaranteed more visibility and more sales. And customers are happy too.
Oh yeah, I'm wearing champs right now. Yeah. I will show you, but if it was all men here, then.
Sharif Abdul Malik's goal is to produce and carry as many everyday items as possible. Alongside boxer shorts and laundry detergent, the young entrepreneur is now moving on to dental hygiene.
Here is the first African-American-owned toothbrush company. It's probably the first toothbrush. We'll normally see white-skinned people on the back of products. So this right here is just probably the first toothbrush that ever has melanated models on the back of the packaging. But my years of living, I never saw it as well. Everything does not have to have a white person on it. That you can actually have black people in your products.
Though he may dream of more all-black labels, he might have to make some concessions.
This product here is made in China.
Is it made by black Chinese?
So that's a good question though, because all over the world we get products made. In China they get their raw material from Africa.
The young entrepreneur is doing all he can to help establish an all-black economy. Today, he's about to take it a step further. He plans to close his current bank account. Why? Because his bank, one of the country's largest, is owned by a white man. And Sharif Abdul Malik is not alone. Killer Mike, the famous rapper, has launched an appeal calling on African Americans to transfer their money to one on a list of black-owned banks.
You can go to your bank tomorrow. Take your money.
Superstars like Usher and singer Solange Knowles, Beyonce's sister, have followed suit. Since then, the hashtag #BlackBank has been gaining popularity. So much so that over $20 million have been transferred to black-owned banks.
Well, it's important that our dollars in our community, rest in a black-owned bank, mainly because we can trust that these banks have the interests of our community in mind, that they would support businesses, support institutions, events, organizations in our community to help get us a lot further, that they have a higher percentage of making sure that those dollars circulate within a black community than a white-owned bank, definitely, or a non-black-owned bank. 100%.
In a country where banks have historically discriminated against blacks in mortgage lending practices, for example, transferring his $350,000 in assets makes a statement.
You go ahead on and put this where it belongs. Yeah.
It's an act of empowerment intended to boost the black community's wealth.
This is it. I feel lighter. I feel a whole lot lighter. Yeah, I actually waited for this, so yeah, I feel really good. Yeah, definitely.
Another plan he hopes to make a reality: opening the country's first black-owned supermarket that will mainly sell products supplied by African Americans. Atlanta has become a major hub for black entertainment and culture. A thriving economy, reasonable living costs, and great weather make the city particularly attractive to the younger generation. Another reason Atlanta appeals to so many wealthy African Americans is because of its highly developed luxury real estate. Atlanta is surrounded by elegant suburbs and mansions. As a result, this new promised land is attracting more and more families each year. When they arrive, luxury real estate agent Talia Diaz is here to welcome them. She first made a name for herself on a reality TV show where 6 real estate agents compete for the biggest sale.
You better watch out.
This November, in this war, the winner makes bets.
I have my clients for a reason.
Since then, she's become a key player in Atlanta's luxury real estate scene. This morning, sporting her stylish stilettos, she's meeting a millionaire couple for a viewing.
Good. Congratulations.
Chad made his fortune in finance. His wife, Michaela, is a social media star. The couple, originally from Miami, have decided to leave everything behind to settle in Atlanta.
These are all
They're about to view this
HBCU
400
black
square meter
people.
house that's valued at $1.7 million.
Isn't it gorgeous? Nice. And I want you guys to take a look at the kitchen.
I would never do this. Never.
That you guys are gonna love. Yes.
Talia Diaz, a top-notch sales agent, knows exactly which points will entice potential buyers.
I have another little surprise. Right here's the pantry. It's a walk-in pantry also. So you can go in nice and deep.
Wow.
Put all the kids' snacks away so that way they can't see it and can't find it.
Enough space. I might have to learn how to cook with a pantry like this.
All right, so I'm gonna give you guys a little glimpse, but this is a great entertaining space for you. Amazing pool.
As surprising as it might sound, this luxury house is actually considered entry-level.
Atlanta specifically, a lot of African Americans or black families can easily afford this. I mean, if you hear Mickey and Chad just say, like, oh my God, this is nothing. This is easy. 1.7, that's all. That's something here in Atlanta. So Atlanta is like the go-to for houses this massive.
Nope.
A phone plan by Google. Get unlimited data, calls, and texts with a Fi Unlimited plan, starting at just $20 per month for each line, with smarter coverage and built-in VPN included. All without contracts or hidden fees. Switch to Google Fi today.
There's a place where you can live in every type of neighborhood, with every type of people, every type of weather, every type of flavor, every type of everything. It's a place called Everywhere, and only members of Landing get to live there. Landing members get access to thoughtfully furnished apartments across the country, designed for stay as long as you like living, so you're always free to move around. Visit HelloLanding.com to learn how you can become a resident of Everywhere. Landing. Live everywhere.
Michaela and Chad's home will include a home theater, a playroom for the children, 3 bedrooms, and a marble bathroom.
Right? Yes, the floor is already heated too.
For the couple, the house is a lifelong dream.
Let's practice the severed vanity.
Yeah. There.
Where I was the first person to become wealthy in my family.
We worked very, very hard, and it's to be able to have a comfortable lifestyle, to afford amenities like double vanities and big showers. It's definitely motivation to keep working hard.
Oh, it's wonderful working with my own community and helping everyone else and just showing them the options that you have. Atlanta is an awesome area to do all of that in. It's absolutely wonderful. I mean, the city brings Black excellence, period.
As the viewing comes to an end, the couple has been won over. They make an immediate offer without negotiating.
You guys in your house.
Thanks to this sale, Talia Diaz will pocket a $50,000 commission. Definitely something to be proud of.
But yeah, this was his cake, so thank God.
Back home, Talia Diaz is getting ready for a night out. Tonight, she's organized a private party to celebrate her success. As she often does, she's hired a professional makeup artist, someone she can rely on.
I trust her. I have no clue what she did. I just know I have something on my eyes that's dark, and that's all I'm going for. What is it, smoky eye? Yeah, okay, I see. Ooh. Oh, I like it. It looks so good, Tavia.
Talia Diaz is a single mother, so the young woman rarely has a minute to herself. She scoops up her 7-month-old and turns to help Giselle, her 5-year-old, who's doing her homework. Fortunately, she can afford daily childcare. Her babysitter is black too.
So I'm gonna leave that there. I have to run, hurry to get dressed. I have my driver pulling up in a few minutes. 5 minutes. All right. Okay. We are ready. You gotta see this?
She's ready to celebrate her success in style. Her party is being held in downtown Atlanta, around 25 miles from her home. And, like a true celebrity, she'll arrive fashionably late.
It says I am 45 minutes away. I'm arriving on BP time, which is black people time, which means you're going to always be like 30 minutes to an hour late. Yes, so I'll be there. Yep, right here. Right here. Just stop right here. Yep, right here. That's perfect. Thank you.
The host has finally arrived. She makes a beeline for her party planner and gives some final instructions.
We're talking about the balloons. Do you want to put them here? Because just for the house? That's cool. Put them there. That's fine. Okay. Put that there.
Her agency is doing very well. Thanks to her sales, she earns an average of nearly $200,000 in commissions each month. To mark the occasion, she's taken over one of the most exclusive clubs in the city.
This club has had every celebrity you can imagine, every rapper, every athlete that has came through Atlanta has actually stopped here. One thing about this club, and several other clubs here in Atlanta, is that they are black owned, which is really awesome. It is. It's full of black entrepreneurs, honestly.
In Atlanta, the number of African Americans earning over $200,000 a year has tripled over just a few years. Tonight, the room is filled with bankers, lawyers, and doctors who have beaten the odds, disproving stereotypes about black people in the process. It's a wealthy elite that's proud of their success.
It's more like a life achievement award. We're looking at diamonds. I don't know the BS quality though.
I love that. So yes, you're looking at diamonds. And this is my logo. This is my business card.
They've all come to support Talia Diaz. Atlanta's affluent black community is particularly tight-knit.
She sold me my house, so she's a friend and a colleague, so I just came to support her.
I'm excited for her because she is the embodiment of black excellence.
I'm here to support Talia. You know, she's come a long way. This is Black Mecca. You know, this is the home of most African Americans. You know, and I think there's a lot of successful African Americans here. We're very proud of it.
Among this crowd of Atlanta's elite, only one white person is in attendance.
I mostly work with Hispanics and African Americans. You know, I got to learn their ways, how they do things, so that way I can better adapt to them and create a connection with them. I think it's a nice change. Because everybody likes to, especially here in the United States, in today's day and age, race is such a big thing. And I hate that because it puts such limitations on so many things.
The evening is a rousing success. Many guests brought friends along, making the party a great opportunity for networking. Diaz may have even come away with a few more contracts.
Everybody's been able to network and, you know, just meet, have new relationships, meet each other and everything else. And it's been fabulous. I can't ask for anything better, honestly. It's been fabulous.
Has some business been made tonight?
Heck yes! I got 3 deals hopefully coming up. I got so I'm excited. I don't have money for Christmas and my birthday, so I'm happy.
Much like Talia Diaz and her glamorous guests, the new Black American elite is everywhere. It's integrating into all professional circles to the highest stratospheres of power.
They need to do an update to this documentary, honey.
Tonight, more and more Americans are struggling to find a place to live.
Where do you think you're going to go?
I have nowhere to go. I'm going to a hotel.
With the government spending billions to help, why are so many left behind?
Only 1 in every 4 in need of housing assistance get it.
Frontline and NPR reporter Laura Sullivan investigate the affordable housing crisis.
It took me 6 years to get my voucher. This is really a very, very dire emergency.
The programs.
We have a proven track record. It's produced good housing that's very well run.
The problems.
It's property they do not want in their neighborhood.
And if all the money is going where it should.
What did you think when you saw the millions of dollars in kickback money?
It was amazing. I mean, this is a huge amount of money. If you aren't following the money, how do you know that the low-income housing tax credit is working?
Tonight, Frontline and NPR take a hard look at poverty, politics, and profit.
I never imagined that a story about low-income housing would lead me here, to an upscale resort in Costa Rica. Los Sueños is a dream world with fancy condominiums and private villas, a first-class hotel, golf course, and its own private marina. I'd come here because our investigation into the money spent to house the poor had taken us into a hidden world of secret bank accounts and shell companies. But I'm getting ahead of myself. To understand what brought me to Costa Rica, I have to take you back 9 months earlier to where our story begins.
As our city grows, the number of affordable homes is doing the opposite. It's shrinking.
Some are calling it the worst affordability crisis in U.S. history.
Last year, we started spending time in Dallas, in neighborhoods like this, where making rent has been getting more and more difficult.
The struggle is real out here. I mean, you know, this is every day for you. It'll wear you down.
They're getting up out of here. You hear me?
Every day.
Before this year ends, baby, Def got some numbers to collect.
They're saying that no matter how hard they work, they still can't find enough here to put a roof over their head.
This is the eviction.
All right.
There are more than 40,000 evictions in Dallas every year.
She's supposed to pay $400.
An estimated 2.5 million across the country.
Yeah, get a couple more people here. You go ahead and start moving this.
Over the past decade, average household incomes have declined, while rents have been rising.
Mm-hmm.
And that's pushing more and more people, like Carla Powers, to the edge.
So what happened to you today?
I was at work. I work 2 full-time jobs. I'm trying. It's a struggle, and it's real, and it's hard. Seriously, yes.
How hard has it been to find housing out here?
Horrible. It's freaking horrible. And that's how I ended up in this slum. I didn't want to be here. I didn't want to be here. I don't have horrible credit. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But it's just hard. It's just hard.
Like millions of Americans, Carla and her family are caught in the long wait of the 2008 financial crisis.
What happened when we hit the foreclosure crisis is that all of a sudden, millions of families lost their homes. They became renters competing in the same rental housing market. And at the same time, incomes were going down even if you could keep your job. And that led to a rental affordability as it's ever been in our history.
Did he come with a dollar?
We have over 11 million renter households that are paying more than half of their income towards their rent each month. That means that they are, one emergency, one broken down car, one illness, one missed day of work away from not being able to pay the rent. They're really at risk of losing their homes altogether and becoming homeless.
Every year, the federal government spends nearly $50 billion to help the poor with rent and get them on the road to better lives. Over the past year, we've been investigating the 2 key programs that try to do that, to see whether they're working the way they should and why so many people are struggling. In Dallas and elsewhere, we kept hearing how the largest of the programs, Section 8 vouchers, covers just a fraction of those in need.
Section 8 applications. Thousands of residents have been fighting for a chance to get public housing assistance.
When the vouchers are handed out, the response is overwhelming.
Chaos this morning in the parking lot as tempers flare over the city's plan to hand out the Section 8 applications.
The voucher pays the difference between the monthly rent and what renters can afford. More than 2 million households use them, but wait lists can be years long. How big a deal is it to get a Section 8 voucher?
Only 1 in every 4 households that are eligible for and in need of housing assistance get it.
It was a dangerous scene. Thousands of people hoping for Section 8 vouchers ran for a spot.
They're hoping to win what is essentially a housing lottery. So it's the 25% who have the vouchers that are the lucky ones within this kind of system.
We wanted to see how Section 8 would work out for 3 of the lucky ones in Dallas, which, like many cities, has a tight rental market. Farron Giles and her son have been staying at her ex-husband's apartment for the past 2 months.
You gotta walk kind of fast. You're not gonna get to school in time for breakfast. Gotta keep up.
She's held a variety of jobs since moving to Dallas 7 years ago.
I've been a cashier, I've been a stalker, I've been a caregiver, I've been a welder, I've been clerical work, stuff like that. Oh, mom made cupcakes last night.
But even when working, she says it's been hard to find a place she can afford. What did you think when you got the voucher?
I thought, this is freaking awesome.
Yeah.
I felt like it was an opportunity for me to gain more stability. This area in general, I would like to get away from.
What is it about getting out of this neighborhood?
Work. I want to live near a place where there are better job opportunities. Yeah, it took me 6 years to get my voucher, but I got it. You can best believe I'm going to utilize it. Yeah, do you guys accept the Section 8 vouchers?
Linda Higgins says one unexpected event upended her life, leaving her so distraught that keeping jobs has been difficult.
I was working at JCPenney, and my son died in 2002. I started living in a big new family, not able to afford to pay rent.
Sounds like a Section 8 voucher.
I haven't had a place to go since 2002.
It's scary that it can all fall apart.
That's why I'm getting the shelter.
I met Ciartis Harris in a Walmart parking lot in South Dallas. Ciartis has 7 kids and was living in a shelter. But before that, she says they often lived here in a van. Slept in here with 7 kids for a couple of months.
It wasn't like all the time with all of them, but yeah, at some point in time it was. Like in between, like trying to find a motel or other people's houses to sleep in. If it wasn't like panning out, we would, go buy somewhere to park and sleep in our van.
What do you say to the kids? They understand? They know.
Yeah.
They know you're trying. Do you have an area you don't want to live in?
The hood, like the hood.
Why not?
Why? Because I don't feel like dealing with it. I don't want nobody breaking into my house or like trying to beat up my children or break into my car. You get into it with somebody, you got to deal with that.
One out.
Yeah, like I'm tired of it. Like, why wouldn't I want better? Like, I went from apartment to living in my van to living in a shelter. Like, yeah, I'm not gonna go backwards. I'd rather go you know?
We kept in touch with Farron, Linda, and Ciartis as they tried to find a place that would take their vouchers. They have up to 90 days, or they'll lose them. And what they're hoping for is one of the main goals of the Section 8 voucher program, the chance to move to neighborhoods with better opportunities.
Researchers from Harvard and Stanford took a look at this and found conclusively for the younger kids, they're significantly more likely to finish school, go to college, finish college, get better jobs, earn more money, not have teen pregnancies, not get involved in crime and drugs. And the younger the kids are when the families make the move, the bigger the impact. Zip code is destiny. That's not job.
One of the hottest zip codes in Dallas is the northern suburb of McKinney.
They all have AIDS in Dallas, though. They're not mentioning that. There's a website that you can look at every neighborhood and city and see what the issues are. And for Dallas, it's HIV, rampant.
I was meeting a developer who was trying to bring more local.
That means the people working at Burger King and mercy Jesus. They ain't telling that. It's a government website that tracks that type of information.
Emerson's plan is to build 132 apartments.
It's Class A construction and we're really excited about it.
Some market rate, some at reduced or affordable rates, and some units set aside for Section 8 vouchers. But her plan hit a roadblock with the Frisco City Council.
We thought we were going to have support, and instead the city actually called a public hearing for our property, and about 250 angry residents showed up.
Some residents voiced concerns about traffic, others about overcrowding in their schools, and some were worried about having low-income housing in their neighborhood.
Well, why did you pick this spot?
Nicole Humphrey is a local opponent of the development.
What is your concern when it comes to Section 8 and low income?
The lifestyle, I feel like that goes with Section 8. It's usually working maybe single moms or people who are struggling to keep their heads above water. And it's not, I feel so bad saying that, but it's not, it's just not people who are, I guess, in the same class as us, which sounds bad, but I don't mean that in a bad way.
Some people would say, look, they maybe have not had the opportunities that their kids are not going to have the opportunities that their kids are going to have in this neighborhood.
Right.
And they share in that.
The problem with that is I hear a lot of the unfair of, oh, we haven't been given this or not that, or haven't afforded things that you might have been afforded. I don't look at multimillionaires and think, why don't I have a yacht? Why don't I have a private jet? It's a mindset.
Do you think that you maybe are stereotyping the folks?
Oh, I totally am, 100%. It's not. It works both ways. I'm definitely not a racist and I'm not bigot, but I think I hold a little bit of a stigma against people who are different. We don't want nomads. We don't want people who don't have roots. I just don't want that to be what my community is about.
Okay, let's go right into whether to provide Anderson Development and Construction LLC a letter of support.
A vote on whether to help Anderson get the money she needed was brought before the Frisco City Council in March of 2015.
I can't support apartments, and I couldn't do that at this time.
I don't see anything in this development that helps us take it to the next level.
The opponents voted today.
Okay, motion passes 6-0 to deny.
But even without local support, Anderson was able to line up loans and grants to move forward with construction. Then, more problems.
Our superintendent has been threatened, issued a warning, a criminal trespass warning. The police have actually blocked our entrance. Have you ever seen anything like this in the years that you've been developing?
I have not.
There's an issue with some buildings in the easement and the right-of-way.
Frisco City officials say they support affordable housing and aren't trying to stop Anderson's project. They just want her to comply with the city's building rules. Anderson complained to the Department of Housing and Urban Development which is now investigating whether her project is being discriminated against.
It is a concerted effort to shut down development of a property they do not own in their neighborhood.
All right. 2 years ago, just miles away, a confrontation between McKinney police and black youth went viral.
I remember that.
The incident became another flashpoint over policing and race.
I remember
Behind
that.
this confrontation were tensions over housing.
Was happening at that pool party was you had white patrons at the pool shouting at black patrons, go back to your Section 8 housing.
Then they started verbally abusing, telling me I need to go back to my Section 8 home and stuff like that.
The McKinney pool party was a reminder of how inseparable housing and race have been, and of federal policies that divided our cities more than 80 years ago.
In 1933, the Public Works Administration began to build public housing. And the important thing to know about this is that it built segregated public housing in cities across the country that had never known segregation before.
Then, in the 1940s and 50s, the government bankrolled a mass migration to the suburbs.
The Federal Housing Administration
I remember that.
subsidized single-family homes outside central cities for white families only.
2/3 of the people in our country now live in a metropolitan area. Mostly the growth is in the suburbs.
At the same time, industry left urban areas. So poverty became even more concentrated, making low-income, segregated neighborhoods even more desperate economically than they had been previously.
Are we gonna start to do it now? Are you ready, James?
By the 1960s, the segregation and
It wasn't just segregation, but they got poor water quality, no businesses, harassment by police.
Segregation was something that was eating us away. Most of the focus of civil rights work had been in the South. But by the mid-60s, we were making that turn towards the North, and in the North, segregation was the issue.
I
Housing
think
segregation.
the president will be
We
fine.
want a strong, fair housing bill, and that's the only thing that's gonna make it stop.
And so it's no mistake that the Fair Housing Act, which had been stalled in Congress, is passed just days after Martin Luther King is assassinated.
The act outlawed all discrimination in housing.
It was now saying we're going to aggressively and affirmatively look for ways to create opportunities for integrated housing
This
and
is
to
at the
encourage
New York
local
Post.
jurisdictions to do so.
Within years, as conditions in public housing deteriorated, new alternatives were enacted, like Section 8 vouchers.
So the Section 8 voucher program was created to continue assisting low-income people with their housing cost needs, right? So a household could take their voucher and move to a higher income, higher opportunity neighborhood.
Vouchers would help some of the poor pay their rent. But as old public housing projects came down, new affordable options were needed. And by the early 1990s, the government had launched a new construction program, relying on the private sector.
None of this stuff
It was
works. It's
called
like
the
it's all
Low-Income
cursed.
Housing Tax Credit.
And so the idea of the low-income housing tax credit
It's-
emerged as a way to create a new public-private partnership that would allow more affordable housing to get built.
The program would spur billions of dollars in private investment to remake the image of public housing. It would also open the door to a whole new set of players in politics.
So you both are interested in the same thing.
Back in Dallas, I met developers who were among the earliest to see opportunity in the new tax credit program. Together, Brian and Cheryl Potashnik became some of the most successful affordable housing developers in the country.
I think at one time we were ranked in the top 10 and the largest in the state.
They got their start in the neglected neighborhoods of South Dallas, areas where the demand for affordable housing was greatest, and the tax credit program was set up to help.
Well, for instance, you can see
The
this.
Potashnik showed me how the program works. The IRS gives billions in tax credits to the states. Then the states award the credits to developers,
And this is you guys.
who sell them for cash to investors, mostly banks. The developers use the cash to help build apartment buildings. And because taxpayer money pays for most of it, they can charge the lower rents that are required.
It's like when you buy a house, you have to put a down payment.
Yeah.
That's your equity.
Yeah.
That's the tax credits give us the equity to build the apartment complex.
Could you build these properties without tax credits?
No, and it wouldn't be possible to build the quality of housing without the tax credits.
Dallas Mayor Laura Miller cut the ribbon for the development.
By the early 2000s, the Patashniks were making millions off their developments and looking for new opportunities beyond the inner cities.
You know, we didn't have a very scientific process for how we found land. We'd get in the car and drive around. But we started driving north and west instead of south.
And what did you find when you got north?
We found a good site.
That site was in the northern suburb of McKinney. What kind of pushback did they get?
Just get, hell no, you can't come.
Many argued that there was already enough low-income housing in the community. But Betsy Julian, a leading Dallas civil rights attorney, says she heard other reasons at a public hearing in McKinney in 2003.
I went to the ladies' room. And if you want to hear really ugly racial stuff, go into the ladies' room at one of those hearings.
What would they say?
Oh, I'm not going to repeat what they were saying, but they were talking about how the tax credit deal would have to have Section 8, because that's what they really were afraid of.
The Patashniks tried to get around the opposition and negotiate a political deal.
We had hired a consultant who was a state senator, who was also a lawyer, and a consultant, and he got us an appointment with the lieutenant governor. But then we were told that we needed to hire another consultant, but we couldn't know who that consultant was.
You
But
had
we
to hire somebody whose name you were not allowed
to lobby the governor.
We would get calls from consultants. Look, I know the governor. I know the senator. I know this one. I can help you here. I mean, it's just rampant.
It's just pay me this amount and don't worry about how I do it.
Don't ask.
Don't ask.
Their deal fell through. And their development plans to build in other communities that didn't want low-income housing generated broader opposition. Soon, Texas began requiring letters of support from local and state officials to help get tax credit deals done.
What did that mean for the projects when you had to get a letter of support?
Well,
It basically meant that if the neighborhood didn't want it, that property was not going to get built.
The letters of support gave politicians more power to determine the fate of developments, so the Patashniks doubled down to try to get the political buy-in they needed.
Developer Brian Patashnik has the mayor's ear when it comes to meeting the city's need for 30,000 affordable housing units.
So I found myself spending a lot of time at City Hall, talking to a lot of politicians.
It all began years ago.
Getting those letters of support became a high-stakes political game, and in 2007, 14 people, including the Patashniks, were charged in a bribery and corruption scandal, the largest in Dallas City Hall history.
Experts say it suggests that the Patashniks funneled bribes through a conspiracy for apartment construction approval.
It was a corruption case. You were accused of being in a pay-to-play situation. Why did you do it?
If you want to use that term, then it becomes about access. And especially when the system itself is set up so that you need those people to approve what it is that you're doing in order to do business.
There's a lot of pressure coming from a lot of different places. Certain decisions were made, certain things happened, and we should have walked away at some point from that pressure. And we should have sacrificed those projects that were in question and just gone in a different direction, but didn't.
They pleaded guilty to conspiracy to bribe local officials.
Brian Patashnik dashed away after receiving his sentence of 14 months in prison. His wife Cheryl was given 2 years of probation as this Dallas City Hall corruption scandal draws to a close.
Nearly 20 states now rely on letters of support to help decide which projects to give tax credits to. Civil
A hot mess is what it is.
Durability in modern workwear is table stakes. Over the past 5 years, the T2 work band has established a new standard for technical performance. It's quickly solidifying its reputation as the most comfortable work band in the world. The magic of the T2 work band lies in our proprietary double-woven soft shell material, which enables us to combine two very different surfaces into a single layer of tightly woven fabric. Exceptionally soft and durable on the inside, tough and water-resistant on the outside. Ideal conditions for this pant range from blue sky temps in the 80s to cold, wet winter weather. Along with the water-resistant coating, the T2 fabric capitalizes on 4-way stretch, doesn't shrink, dries fast. Ideal for a huge range of applications requiring athletic movement and protection from the elements. 7 pockets, including a stash pocket on the left leg and our dual-access phone pocket on the right, provide plenty of storage. Articulated knees, gusseted inseam, and a tailored cut enable precise and unrestricted movement.
New Mexico homeowners, if you have a power meter like this on the side of your house, you can qualify to erase your energy bill at no cost to you. By getting solar panels with absolutely no cost up front, you'll get your power from the sun. Now, what that's going to do for you is make your power meter run backwards. That's going to put a credit on your electric bill so you never have to pay it again. Plus, you'll get paid for all the excess power your system produces. Best part, the federal government is paying homeowners thousands of dollars this year for going solar. If you'd like to see if you qualify for this program, then just click the link in this video. You could still watch the video you're here for. We'll just take you to a new window, ask a few quick questions, and make sure that your home qualifies. In as little as 30 seconds or less, you'll find out exactly how much you can save, $100, $200, or even $300 per month, and if you qualify for this program. This program does expire soon though, so just click the link in this video, and we'll talk with you soon.
You are watching NBC News Now. We're following breaking news at this hour. I'm Aaron Gilchrist. President Biden.
This condition here. You heard from Dr. Jha, who is the COVID response director, as well as Karine Jean-Pierre, the press secretary. Who was not there was Dr. Kevin O'Connor, who is the chief physician to President Biden. This is the same physician who was his chief physician when he was Vice President Biden during the Obama years here. We were getting the details here that last night is when the president first reported feeling fatigue, as well as occasional dry cough. And then it was a routine test this morning, an antigen test this morning when he tested positive. He then had a follow-up PCR test that confirmed this positive diagnosis. He was yesterday out in Massachusetts. He took Air Force One to return to Washington here. You saw our White House chief correspondent, Peter Alexander, there in the briefing room, asking if there was anybody else in the West Wing who was tested positive at this time. The press secretary was not providing that information. 2 other important notes here are, number one, that President Biden is currently on not only a blood thinner, but also on medication that lowers cholesterol. And this is according to Dr. Jha that along with taking Plaxivit here, the antiviral therapy that he is going to be on for these next 5 days, and over these 5 days he will be off both of those medications as is recommended by the FDA here. Again, this is President Biden, they say by accounts that he is doing well and feeling good. You saw him not only in a photo there in the West Wing, but then also a photo of or a video in which he is speaking directly to camera for about 20 seconds. Again, Dr. O'Connor has suggested to R. Kelly O'Donnell that he will be giving daily updates on the president. They said that the early indication is that the cough is really on, that they hope the antiviral
I'm sending you some hugs.
Therapy will help him through this process.
But of course, this is something that you heard from this press conference here. There are serious questions. Of course, the American public has worked through this before during the Trump
Bless his
administration,
heart.
when there was questions about just how much information was being provided about the actual well-being of President Trump at the time. And that is why the Biden administration says that they will
So
continue
young.
to update the American people about the status of President Biden, who
He's
they
so
say at this
young.
time is doing well here.
All right, Vaughn, thank you for that. Now, I want to turn to Dr. Sayal now and talk a little bit more about the point that Vaughn just made about information. You and I have been talking a bit during the briefing that was happening here, and you said that you've gotten a lot of information about this particular patient, who in this case is the President of the United States, and I think that sort of obviously elevates the conversation around him. But I was listening to Dr. Jha talk about his conversation with the President's physician, making the point that his exam was normal and that everything was at baseline as he's still dealing with COVID. What does that say to you? I mean, as a prognosis, as you're thinking about his condition and what the days ahead might look like?
Well, it's good now, but it's also good to remember it's only day one, right? So patients can often present and just like Biden, be totally normal, and then later on take a turn for the worse. So it's too early to say he's out of the woods, he's in the clear. I think the points that were brought up earlier are really good to talk about, which is that we're going to be checking his oxygen, checking his heart rate, checking his vital signs, and overall his energy. Is he in good spirits? Is he talking to people, or is he laying in bed? Is he not feeling well? Can he not do things? So it's the vital signs, it's his overall picture, I think, that are really the questions we're going to be looking out for.
And so those are questions that you would continue to ask then. I mean, we obviously we saw in the video and the photo that he's doing some work, and I think it's fair to say that the work the president does is very different from anything that any of the rest of us might do. But you would expect that his physician is probably going to be working overtime over the next at least 5 days, just double checking and rechecking to make sure that he doesn't change, that things don't get worse.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. He's going to be working hours. He hasn't worked since residency. Just making sure President Biden is okay, his vital signs are okay, and just periodic monitoring and hopefully updating us with more daily briefs about his condition.
Dr. Jha went to great lengths to talk about the fact that because the president is vaccinated and boosted, that his risk of serious illness is dramatically lower than it would otherwise be. They went to great lengths to say to people, if you're over 50 years old and you haven't had a shot or it's time for another shot, that this is the time to do it. It's almost as though this moment is something that the White House is using it as an opportunity to sort of re-highlight that the pandemic is not over and that we all still need to be thoughtful about vaccination and about how we're protecting ourselves moving about in life, right?
Yeah, I think that's a really thoughtful approach they're taking. People oftentimes don't feel the need to get a booster until the virus kind of gets close to home. And for many of those people out there, that is the president of the United States testing positive. So I think that it's a great message they're sending. Everybody who's over 50, who's eligible for that second boost, should absolutely go out and get it.
All right, we expect to learn more. We know that his sample has been sent out for sequencing to see what strain of COVID-19 he has, which will likely be BA.5, as most of the country is dealing with right now. We appreciate your help with helping us to sort of understand what's been happening here. Dr. Sayal from our medical units here, thank you, appreciate it. All right, we want to turn to Noah Pransky now, our national political editor for our sister network, LX News. He just spoke to some lawmakers about President Biden's diagnosis. He's joining us now from the Hill. So Noah, what are you hearing there on the Hill?
Well, there's actually kind of a noticeable absence of panic here compared to maybe the last time a president got COVID. You can attribute that to sort of the fact that it's only mild symptoms at this point, the fact that the president said he's taking Paxlovid, and also the fact that he's gotten vaccinated twice and double boosted. But one common theme in talking to some of the members of the House is that the president is still in the job, he's still doing his job, and that everyone should take this as a reminder that vaccines can minimize symptoms and save lives, change outcomes.
I know everybody's talking about the president's age. I've met with the president numerous times, and the reality is that he is a very strong guy, and I think he's just going to be fine. He took all the precautions. He got vaccinated. He got the booster shots. I think it's going to be flu, and he's going to be right back to work.
Oh, I'm concerned. I know he's going to recover fully very soon. I think COVID is here, and I think that we have to take precautions. That means getting vaccinated, getting boosted if you're eligible.
It's always alarming anytime, any of my colleagues or the president of the United States gets COVID.
but I think he's going to do well. He's fully vaccinated, he has his booster shots, and he's in good hands.
We should point out all three of those lawmakers were Democrats. I have reached out to a number of Republicans today, but they're kind of hard to find in the Capitol right now. There's a big January 6th event tonight. I may have heard of it, Aaron, and they're not exactly willing to just jump in front of cameras at any request. So I did go to Twitter. Mitch McConnell, one of many lawmakers there, wishing well wishes to the president. I recommend he not go near Twitter because it's not always well wishes there for the president this time. But the bottom line is that so far so good, according to most of the members here in the legislature. Most of them wishing him well, and most of them say that America can still do more. This is an opportunity. Remind everybody, go get boosted if you're eligible.
All right, Noah Pransky on the Hill for us there from LX News, covering the response from the Hill to President Biden's diagnosis today. Noah, thank you. Of course, we're going to continue to follow this breaking story. The president testing positive for COVID-19 throughout the day. Here across the platforms of NBC News, you've been obviously looking at some of the footage there a moment ago from the president traveling earlier this week, just yesterday, as a matter of fact, traveling in Massachusetts, speaking about some of his climate initiatives. And now we've got this news today that the president has in fact tested positive for COVID-19. Again, we know that he will be remaining in isolation.
I don't know how shopping works on YouTube, honey.
The White House COVID-19
You know that.
response coordinator that he will remain in isolation for at least 5 days and until he tests negative, and will obviously be working from inside the residence.
It used to be 2 weeks.
And obviously the White House is set up such that the president can work from anywhere, quite literally, whether it's inside the White House or outside the White House. And so to the extent that he needs to engage in activities to ensure the operation of the country, the president's able to do that. His staff obviously continues to work on his behalf. We, as I noted, will stay on top of this story throughout the day. As anything changes today and in the days to come, you can, of course, expect to get that information here as quickly as we're able to turn it around. Now, we do have some other headlines we want to talk about today. We are just hours away from the January 6th committee's latest hearing. This one's going to happen in prime time. Tonight's focus will be on a minute-by-minute accounting of what former President Donald Trump did or didn't do as the riot unfolded. More than 3 hours passed between when the riot started and when President Trump told his supporters to go home. I want to bring in NBC News Washington correspondent Yamiche Alcindor now to talk a little bit more about this. Yamiche, obviously we've had several hearings already, and people have been paying very close attention to what's unfolded there. So tonight, in what we believe will be the last public hearing, what are you watching for?
Well, I'm really focused on this idea that lawmakers say they want to crack open finally this black box at the White House and get into the 187 minutes between when former President Trump likely learned that a mob of his supporters had broken into the Capitol and the time between when he released that video telling them finally to go home, even though, as he also said, I love you. So lawmakers have said that they really want to get into this. So I'm looking for whether or not there are going to be any outtakes, first of all, from any of the video that former President Trump released, because there's reporting that he was very reluctant to sort of criticize these people, even though, again, they had broken into the Capitol and just done something that no American people had ever done before. I'm also very interested in what direct accounts we're going to hear from. We're hearing from Matthew Pottinger, who was the most senior person in the White House to resign on January 6th, someone who saw the Capitol riot and said, I'm good, I'm out of here, and as well as Sarah Matthews, who was the deputy press secretary. I've been talking to Republican sources. They say both of these people are very respected Republicans. Matthew, in particular, was a very senior person who might have likely had direct knowledge about what President Trump was saying and doing in real time as he was watching the mob storm the Capitol. So that's going to be very interesting to me. I also think overall, if we push back, I want to know what lawmakers feel their impact has been over these hearings, because there's been this sort of narrative told about sort of how former President Trump tried to overturn the election. So after this hearing, I'm going to be very much listening out to lawmakers to hear whether or not they think that there could be criminal referrals or whether or not they think this might have changed public opinion. So those are the most interesting things to me. So a primetime hearing that is going to be historic, but also one that I think could be very much telling about what was going on at the White House.
As you talk to regular folks, non-politicos, people outside of D.C.,
like my family in Miami.
Exactly. We talk to our friends and family, and a lot of people have sort of said, well, so what? When this is all said and done, when the public hearings are over, what do you anticipate comes out of this? People I talk to say, oh, this is just what politicians do. They'll have their hearings and their conversations, and nothing changes.
I mean, Aaron, that is the key question, right? The fact that lawmakers spent this much time, this much resources into telling this story and trying to convince the American people that there's evidence that former President Trump really was derelict in his duties to try to protect this nation and try to undermine American democracy and try to, they say, attempt a coup. I think it's going to be very interesting to see what kind of impact people have on this, whether or not people are watching. We know millions of people are watching the first primetime hearing. About 13 million people tuned in, so it'll be interesting to see how many people tune in tonight. But when I talk to my family in Miami, they're also wondering sort of what does this have to do with inflation? What does this have to do with gas prices? I had people ask me, are these hearings about gas prices? Because people are so focused on sort of everyday ability to survive and thrive. That being said, lawmakers are talking to the American people, but also to history. We think of someone like Liz Cheney, who might literally lose her seat in Congress because of this. She felt, and the people on that committee felt, like they wanted to tell the story and make sure that it was for the history books, that it was very much sort of documented what former President Trump did. But whether or not it changes, as election deniers are being elected all over this country, just this week we saw someone in Maryland, the GOP gubernatorial nominee, win that race. He's an election denier who has said President Biden is not fairly elected. So it'll be really interesting to see sort of the political impacts of this and also just sort of the criminal impacts of this, whether or not anyone goes to jail because of this. I will say, just based on what I'm hearing, I don't know that minds will have been changed that much, unfortunately, for the lawmakers.
We will be watching one way or the other to see. It'll be a long night for you and an early morning tomorrow. So we'll talk again about this. Yamisha Sindor, appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks.
And be sure to tune in for NBC News special coverage of tonight's hearing. Lester Holt, Chuck Todd, and Hallie Jackson will lead our team throughout the evening. It all begins at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, right here on NBC News Now. Let's talk about the heat. It has been relentless all over the world, and it's just not letting up. Millions of people across this country are expected to see triple-digit temperatures today again. But the crisis is expanding well beyond our borders, of course. The extreme heat in Europe has triggered devastating wildfires. NBC News meteorologist Bill Cairns is standing by. We'll begin, though, with NBC News correspondent Dasha Burns. She's in Weston, Missouri for us today. Dasha, I know that you've been talking to farmers and to cattle ranchers about the extreme heat that they're dealing with. Talk to us about how serious of a challenge it is for those folks right now.
Yeah, Aaron, ranchers and farmers are really feeling the heat right now, and those who are especially vulnerable to these extreme temperatures are actually our friends back there, cattle. They are incredibly vulnerable to these really high temps. It's been in the triple digits over the last week here. And just last month, in the last heat wave that this region saw over in nearby Kansas, 2,000 cattle died because of this. Those cattle were mostly at feed yards where they're in much more enclosed spaces. But any rancher who deals with cattle is really on edge at this time of year because they just do not handle heat very well. And the cattle industry, the meat industry, can take a really big hit during this time of year. We are at Casey Cattle Company right now, and I spoke to their owner, veteran Patrick Montgomery. This is a veteran-owned and operated ranch. Take a listen to what he told me about this. I mean, you've got a lot of farms around this area, but what kind of farms or ranches would you say bear the brunt of the burden during these heat waves?
Well, it's really tough on feed yards. I mean, we saw that story come out about a month ago now, and bigger animals, it's a little tougher to make sure they're staying healthy. They have issues with retaining their winter coats, which just makes them even more hot during these summer days. And then if they don't have shade, and then what we saw happen in Kansas there was kind of the perfect storm with humidity and high temps. That's the death sentence for cattle.
Mm-hmm. Patrick tells me that here what they do during this time of year is try to help the animals help themselves and make sure they have plenty of space, that they have shade, that they have plenty of water, that they can feed on grass rather than corn, which is a little bit lighter, which they prefer during this time of year. But it is always a challenge when you have prolonged periods of time with these kinds of temperatures, Aaron.
All right, Dasha Burns for us in Missouri today. Dasha, thank you. NBC News meteorologist Bill Cairns is joining us now. He's been tracking the heat all week for us. So, Bill, what can we expect now in the days ahead?
Yeah, stay in the shade. That's a good point about the shade because
the temperatures that I show you are actually taken in the shade. In the sun is even that much higher. So all these numbers I'm about to show you for the current heat indexes out there, mostly in the eastern half of the country, are all taken in the shade. And you will notice that New York City was at 98 earlier, and now it's dropped to 78. That's because they got lucky enough for a thunderstorm to push through Central Park. But Washington, D.C., not so lucky. 99 right now. It feels like Wilmington's 100. And poor Memphis, 109 when you step outside in the shade. In the sun, even worse than that. You notice things are a little bit cooler today. If you want to call mid-90s to 100 cool, from Dallas to Oklahoma City to Wichita, there has been some more clouds today. That's why Dallas is not under a heat advisory for the first time in days. But in all, we're nearly 100 million people under heat advisories or heat warnings, spreading from the East Coast all the way to California, kind of dotting the map in between. So as far as today goes, we're going to peak out near 100 in Dallas, but maybe
I gotta go.
it'll be close. Other areas are still very warm in the southeast, and of course it's humid there too, so that heat index makes it feel a little worse. And towards the weekend,